There's two main things with me, I think. One is with like my playtesting background and everything. I have a super micro focus on the games. Like I know tons of different interactions with champions. I want to bring some of that like backstory to the table as well, talking about what champions were like in development and all that sort of things. Even I was a referee before that. So yesterday I was talking about like I was on stage for the very first Chrono Break ever. So right. I hope I bring sort of like an insider perspective on a lot of different things like that.
Hello everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, joined here by the second tallest person at the EULCS, Ender. After your almost complete first split at the EULCS, how have you enjoyed your stay so far as a caster?
I've loved it. The job is something I've always wanted to do, and I was supposed to be out here last split, but it took a while to get visa things underway and all that good stuff. So now that I'm here, I'm loving it and can't wait for playoffs.
The classic issue in esports, visas.
Yes.
So how did you get into casting?
So it was about two and a half years ago, roughly, where I was like master level player, playing a bunch of amateur leagues and trying to become a pro. But then I'm like, I'm just not good enough to be a pro. So I still really wanted to be into esports. So I actually just went on Reddit one day and reached out or looked up casters wanted, all that good stuff, and found as many amateur things as I could find, and then got into it and eventually climbed my way up here.
Oh, okay, interesting. But I heard that you were on the Riot Balance team for a while, and that kind of got you into this position.
Yeah, so I wasn't on the Balance team, I was on the playtest team. Okay. So working really closely with, we call them the live gameplay team, but what everyone knows as the Balance team. Basically testing out all their changes and making sure that what they're doing is what ends up shipping, or what they want to have happen is what they end up shipping.
Okay, so what gets you more hate, being a EULCS caster or being on the Balance team?
It would probably be being on the Balance team. There's a lot of flack thrown their way. But everyone has received me pretty nicely here in EU. There hasn't been too much hate.
Just a tiny bit, or like on a scale of 1 to 10?
So on the first day, week 1, day 1, the worst thing I saw was whoever let Ender wear those pants should be fired. Which I'll take.
So you'll never wear those pants again, right? Or have you worn them since?
I haven't worn them that much. I've worn them a few times, but that's because I don't have that many suits, so.
Lack of choice in that case kind of makes up for these things, I suppose. But how's it been working with people like Medic, for example? You got to duo cast yesterday, like even 2 or 3 games?
3 games, yeah.
3 games. And you saw Medic's headset fly off and stuff. Yeah, how's it been working with the EULCS crew?
It's been really fun to finally work with them, because before this, I'd only really like talked to Trevor trying to figure out how to actually get me over here to cast for the league. And the only other pro caster I'd worked with was Captain Flouse before he actually joined Riot, so it had been a long period where I hadn't actually gotten to cast with anyone that was at that professional level, and it's been great to work with those guys. I've learned so much, and yesterday with Medic was some of the most fun I've ever had casting. Even with all the pauses, we had a blast on the desk. For sure.
Now, so you and Captain Flouse worked together for a decent amount of time, and did you like try to bounce each other off to the top essentially?
So I cast with him right before he ended up making the leap to Riot. So this was like after he'd been discovered by Reddit and gotten all that popularity. So we did 2 or 3 different events together, just online. Like didn't actually meet him in person, but those were some fun casts together.
So did you learn anything specifically from him?
No, it was just. It was really easy to cast with him because he was super conversational, and that's something that is very difficult to actually get when you're casting a million miles away from someone. You don't actually see them in person, so it was a good experience.
So what is going to be kind of your personality as a caster? We have Foxtrot, who's very evidently going to be the British lad that chats shit. We have Medic, who's obviously just a beast in his own right. Pyra being a hype man for very long, the same with Trevor, and Officio giving great analysis and stuff. What's going to be your persona?
Yeah, so there's 2 main things with me, I think. One is with like my playtesting background and everything. I have a super micro focus on the games. Like I know tons of different interactions with champions. I want to bring some of that like backstory to the table as well, talking about what champions were like in development and all that sort of things. things. Even I was a referee before that. So yesterday I was talking about like I was on stage for the very first Chrono Break ever. So I hope I bring sort of like an insider perspective on a lot of different things like that. And other than that, like even though I'm a color caster, I'm just so excited by the game that I'll be screaming and matching the level of my play-by-plays and having a great time.
So a good mix of everything, essentially. Very interesting. Now, it seems like you've already filled in so many positions before you became a caster. What's going to be the step after being a caster?
Oh, see, now that's something I haven't actually thought that far ahead, because the dream was be a shoutcaster, right? And then I see a referee job open up on the website. I'm like, that's something I can do. I can be a referee for you guys. So it's been a climb up to this point. So now that I'm here, it's just how good can I be? You know, what's the maximum I can do as a shoutcaster?
And I would assume that the ultimate goal for shoutcaster is Worlds. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, that's a long way down the road, more than likely. But yeah, I'd love to be able to cast at a world event.
I mean, I gotta hand it to Medic in that area. I remember talking to him in 2017 in spring, and he was like, yeah, Worlds is gonna be the goal, but it's gonna be a long way out. And then last year he was at Worlds play-ins, but still it was at Worlds, so it's still possible, you know?
Yeah, if I get a call, I will say yes.
Isn't that one of the amazing thing about esports, that you can, if you are really, really good at it, you can climb the ladder relatively fast?
Yeah, it's like there's so few people that actually have the job that I have, right? So it really is all about merit and like how much you actually bring to the table, how good you are. So with some work, hopefully I can get there.
So being an amateur caster, of course, I mean, practically every caster has been an amateur caster at one point. But were there specific things that you learned from that time that you would view as essential for your performance nowadays? Yeah,
I was really happy with how I came into the scene, because it felt like I had a lot of the basics down and had like a pretty good debut. Really just working with another person was something I didn't have to do that much of in the past. I was a solo queue player. I would do some coaching on the side, but I never had to actually like talk with someone and try to explain in sort of like layman's terms, like how this interaction works or what a team should be doing at any given point. So I figured a lot of that out. What I didn't get to learn was the live studio environment. That was something that definitely took some getting used to, just like standing, being on the actual broadcast, because usually an amateur caster, it's all about your voice. No one ever really sees you, but they see you out here.
It can be an advantage sometimes, I would assume, with your suit and your general attire being very professional. It's not going to be an issue.
I love the suits. That's great. I actually, when we came here, we had to go shopping and buy me a bunch of suits, because I came here with exactly one suit in my wardrobe. So got all the fancy clothes out.
How many do you have now?
I have 3 suits. It's not that many.
It's 3 times as many. So
that is true. That is true. More next year.
It's like with the 2% thing that you got to cast about yesterday. You know, if it's 2% of like 2 million, that's still a lot of.
That's still a lot. I'm glad you remembered that too, because that was a long day of games we had. That first game took us like an hour and a half with all the pauses.
How do you deal as a caster with so many pauses? Like we didn't have just one pause in one game; it was just consistently pause. How do you do?
Yeah, so I actually think I'm in sort of a unique setting when it comes to that, because when a pause happens, I can just talk about being a referee, right? Like I can go into these stories about what was happening on stage, get in the minds of the players, and like what are the rules when a pause actually happens. So I have like a pretty big bank of things that I can talk about before we have to go completely off the rails if there's like a 20 or 30 minute pause.
Jesus, at that point it's just you
then
just gotta
chaos.
that's how you just have to roll with it, essentially. Show must go on. The show must come to an end for this interview, sadly, but is there anything you would like to say to the EULCS fans watching at home?
Yeah, I'm super excited and super happy that everyone has sort of received me as well as they did, and I hear everyone cheering in the stands. I love it all, and I can't wait to be back for more games.
Very excited to hear that. A hashtag for all the people that watched until now?
Hashtag love you guys.
Aww, that's so sweet. This was Ender and Darius from the Shotcaller. I hope you had a good day. See you then. Hey everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, and I hope you just enjoyed that video. This is a generic end card, of course, so make sure to click here for a different interview, or here for a different interview, or about here to subscribe to the Shotcaller. We very much appreciate your support, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.